Sup, y'all? I don't know the exact background of people who were involved in the shooting at this stage. I know there was two individuals, from what I've seen so far. They both had rifles and/or shotguns. I do not know their religious background or country they're from. In saying that, though, from my story, I would have come across like I was insinuating that's a possibility, and it is. And I want to make clear, I don't give a what people think about me anymore, but I've always been very pro immigration, always. Except now it's very apparent that there is a lot of messed up stuff happening in the world very quickly. It's very rapid. Um, you can see what's happening in the UK. It doesn't mean the people who fit this demographic are all bad or evil or have these horrible intentions, but there's a lot going on. The entire United Kingdom's culture is rapidly changing, and that's not right. I saw someone recently talking about something like this, and they basically said Asia is predominantly Asian people, and then like South America is predominantly South American people, yada yada yada. Africa is predominantly African people, right? Yada yada yada. You get the point, and that's good. Multiculturalism is also good, but I want China to always be majority Asian people. I want Africa to always be majority African people, and South America to majority be South African people. Because you visit these countries, you visit these nations, and you get to be immersed in the culture and experience it, and then come home and be like, wow, that was amazing. And I understand there's been certain things that have happened around the world, and there's been, in history, there's been colonization and settlements and all that sort of thing that we can't go back. But this is how the world is now, right? And we're not going to go cause more carnage to undo carnage that's been done. Um, I hate having to talk about this. I'm feeling I have to talk about this. I mean, I can switch off and just not give a fuck about anybody, right? But yeah, in terms of skin color, from what I understand, it's like something like 20% of the world is actually white. And I think it's probably just portrayed differently because of Hollywood and what everyone sees online and all these sorts of things. And I'm not saying I'm the most super educated person in the world and I know everything and I've got all the facts and figures right. And like my time as an animal rights activist, for example, I would specifically just try to use logic and reason. So if some of my facts are a little bit wrong, that's fine. At least just try to see the logic that I'm using. So, yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, who is more important to you? Yourself, your family, loved ones, etc., complete strangers you've never met. And even if you do meet them one day, I'm sure, for the most part, except for some of us who are just messed up, probably care about your parents or your kids or your siblings more than someone you met a few years ago, right? And anyway, you just have to see what's happening in the UK, and that is happening in Australia. We're not quite there yet, but it is happening. And you know what? Today's shooting in Bondi. Rest in peace to everyone who's involved. My heart goes out to the families that are affected by this, because there is a mum, a father, a son, a daughter, a cousin, a sister, a brother, an auntie, an uncle, a best friend, who, if not, are about to find out that someone they love has been shot dead. Could be from someone from the Middle East. It could be a fellow Australian. It was by two pieces of shit. I know that much. And anyway, I've been paying attention to mainstream news. Ironically. And in the last month, there's been a real uptick in shootings, home invasions, stabbings through my area, the Gold Coast, Logan, where I grew up, and Brisbane, another place I've spent a lot of time. And I've had my time hanging around the wrong crowds when I was younger. I wouldn't say I was partaking in the wrong crowds, but I've been around the wrong crowds because I grew up in Logan. I've seen some stuff. Well, I'm not saying I'm hard or anything like that, but I know enough and I've witnessed enough and I've experienced enough and I've heard enough real stories. And it's a lot worse now. I grew up in an area called Boronia Heights in Logan, back in the day, it was actually a really nice area. I mean, I remember being a little kid and just walking to the shops at night, and it was fine. There was oddballs and some dickheads back there, but now it's a lot worse. It's really turned into like ghetto sort of shit. Lots of crime. Anyway, I know this is a long video. Oh crap, it really is. I don't even know if it's will upload. But what I'm, you know what? We've got these massive protests going through the streets. Free Palestine and stuff. And I'm not educated enough on that topic. But sure, yeah, free people who are enslaved or being blown up or whatever that is. But our country right now is in serious peril, it's in serious danger, and we're too focused on everything else happening in every other country, trying to save everyone else, forgetting about what's happening in our own backyard. So I think this is the biggest mass shooting since, like, was the 1990s or something. Like, so there was a big shooting in Melbourne or something. But this isn't a one-off thing. Like, if you think it's a one-off thing, you've got your head in the clouds. And if you're living your life to the max and you're enjoying it, not trying to get the negativity into you, I get it. And good for you. Especially if you don't have like close family and stuff like that. You just want to enjoy your life. That's fine. I mean, I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying people need to be prepared. And if you're focused trying to help every other country, don't complain when your own country goes to shit because you're too focused on every other one. Too focused on saving millions of other people in all these other countries. And Australia's got a lot of land, and I get a lot of space, and you could if it could make it work, but it's not working. It isn't. And I've been through a lot of personal challenges in the last 4 or 5 years, to the point where I really shouldn't care. Sometimes I don't, especially about what's going on around the world. Call me a monster for saying that, but a lot of people have got their own shit going on. And if they can somehow find that energy to try and help people from countries that have never even visited themselves, to like hate on people who are their kingsmen? No, I don't know. They're from their own nationality, from their own country. Countrymen? Yeah, I think you get what I mean anyway, logic. That there's a big problem there. And yeah, I mean, there was a point where I thought about being like a war photographer. I don't know if that was from the most noble reasons, but I thought it would be interesting to go document and be involved in that, and just never happened, right? And I'm not going to go through protests through the street or anything. I'm a very independent and solo person, and maybe things will change because I've got my own problems to work on. I'm not saving the world, and I've got to fix a lot of my own shit. But I do feel compelled to speak up. At least get people thinking. Like, I know I could be wrong about a lot of things. I could be wrong about every little thing I just said. Educate me. Don't hate me. Don't talk like a piece of shit when my intention is to get people thinking for themselves and consider something. Because I think a lot of people, and me, pro-immigration for a long time, but a lot of people have also been like that, but they're not willing to challenge things. I think it's the same as it was 10, 20 years ago. I remember doing security at one of the detention centers in Brisbane. I really was not allowed to talk about this for a long time. But it doesn't matter because that's all shut down now. And yeah, I saw a lot of lovely people come through there. Kids, all sorts. I got to play soccer with them a couple of times, which was cool. We weren't allowed to speak to them, the security wasn't, but they're people, so I did, and I didn't get in trouble for it, and it was actually pretty cool. It was like an agency called Serco, and these were people who, from memory, I think they came by the proper methods, but they were still in like a motel that our taxes were paying for, which is just fact, And there was an instance when I was there, it was crazy. A lady tried to stab her partner or she did. He didn't die. Like got him in the arm or something, or like stabbed him with a knife. And it's obviously never made the news because it was very hush hush then. But that's the sort of attitude that was coming over. And you know what? He might have been in the wrong because it's always men who are in the wrong. We're pieces of shit, right? But yeah. And you know, I think they even exchanged emails with one of the guys I met. I never heard from him, but yeah, I had a lot of empathy and compassion for the people I met there. Like yeah, there was the dude I exchanged emails with. He was young. I think back then I was like 21, 22 actually. Yeah, I was young, and he was like 18. And he told me he'd seen someone get hit by a grenade and blown to bits. Yeah, that's fucked up. That's horrible. And yeah, I really felt for him. I forgot about that actually. And I haven't thought about it for a while. Is what I mean. But you know, and as much as I feel for him, I hope he's doing well. Like we just can't sustain having millions of people coming into the country. And if, from what I see, it is really a breeding wave takeover that's happening in the UK, and the UK no longer looks like the UK. And I don't think all these videos that are popping up are fake AI videos. And yeah, I just feel that there's so many people who are attached to these identities that they've established and just can't see that the picture and the narrative and however you want to word it is drastically changed. And yeah, I don't know what else to say from that, but yeah, Australia is an anti-gun country technically, and yet more people are being shot. Kids are getting a hold of what looks like an Uzi, little small automatic pistols. You know, serious knives, and all sorts of messed up shit's going on. There's been stuff in Melbourne about a real uptick in crime from apparent Sudanese people, African people. I don't know the full details on that, but yeah, it's getting real common. You see people talking about this whole black fatigue thing, but it's like people are being openly racist now. Obviously, that's not okay. But before, you know, even racist people, or people who didn't like the shit, wouldn't say anything. But now they're saying it all the time because people are scared. It's even bad people. Yeah, they are generalizing and judging. You know, like everyone gets generalized and judged. The amount of times I've heard straight white male like it's nothing is fucking insane. And then, you know, women get discriminated against, and every race gets discriminated against, and, you know, it's always easy to judge people who get scared and want to protect their home and protect their family and friends and whatnot. And sorry, it's not as simple as, you know, I haven't always been the biggest Trump fan, but then he made a good point. He's like, yeah, let's let in thousands of people from across the border. Let's let them all in. I mean, you know, we're not going to filter it or do proper checks or anything. Just because they show up on a boat, we'll let them in. That includes the rapists, the murderers, the woman beaters, all that sort of stuff. Just let them all in. And he was right, that logic is stupid. Has to be a process. It can't be, oh, you just come on a boat, you must be fearing for your life. And younger me, I think that's the right thing to do. And I mean, my heart says it is. Well, the video evidence we keep seeing online, it's not the right thing to do anymore because we're jeopardizing our nation and everything that this country's built and the things that we've overcome and gotten through, and even since COVID and whatever. I mean, like even like for the Indigenous Australians, Aboriginal people, I've got a relative who's Aboriginal. I love him to bits, and it's like all of the discrimination and hardship they face, and you know, trying to make it so it's fair on everyone who lives here. Because if you're white, you're born in Australia, it's not your fault. You weren't a part of the invasion, you know. But then now we're just letting floods of other cultures come on in, and I feel like that's disrespectful to the Indigenous community too, because it's just more pressure and more things for everyone to deal with, not just white Australians or New Zealand Australians, which is very common, and yeah, Indigenous Australians. It's not fair. So I don't know. I think I'm rambling because I just want something to click with people. I'm not saying being hateful. You see these massive protests and stuff, and you know, it's just like we're gonna fix our backyard first before we save the rest of the world, you know. And it sucks that that's the hand they've been dealt right now. But I think there is a lot of higher powers at play here, and it's what is it, the art of war or something? Anyway, divide and conquer, and there's powers at play that are pitting us against each other. That's exactly what they want, and it's really unfortunate that so many people get upset at someone challenging these views, like me, like saying this and that. But it's like my intention is not bad. My intention is to upset people or whatever. I've been a very pissed off human being for the last few years because of some shit I've been through in my own life reflections. But majority of the time, I believe most people sharing their views online, even if it sounds racist or sexist or anti-immigration or whatever, their intention is genuine. They're not trying to, rage bait and stir up attention and all that sort of stuff. Like right here, I'm just like, man, this shit's worth it to be concerned about, and it's worth challenging yourself. Like I was very heavy in the animal rights community for a long time before I burnt out and faced personal problems and got judgment and assumptions from idiots that didn't know anything about me in that way. And I often tried to motivate and inspire and encourage people to do the right thing. And there was always this weird little clique of people who just try to paint you as the bad person, or your intention was always good. And I think my intention was always good. Yeah. I mean, I was being a bit of a dickhead on social media like a year ago or something, but I was really did not give a fuck anymore. And anyway, most people are just, they're trying to do the best with the hand they've been dealt and the knowledge that they have. You don't have to attack them for seeing things differently. And sort of one thing, I didn't know a lot about Charlie Kirk, but I admired that for the most part he wanted to have civil discourse and give people the chance to speak up and exchange views without it being hostile. I feel like Jordan Peterson is like that as well, even though a lot of people don't like him. I'm not saying I love either of these guys or hate either of these guys. It's just, freedom of speech is important, because it also, you might not like some things that people say, like there are racist people and stuff, and they use that word, the N word, right? And a lot of white people seem to get pissed off about that more than anything. But at least now you know what this person is like, and if you want to associate with them or not, right? It gives you perspective. You might get triggered by words and things like that, and I'd hate to be you because it's not the way I want to live life. If I cried every time someone said straight white male, because I think that is a shitty thing to just a blanket label someone as, I would be crying all the time because I hear it every day. And so I hope we can all learn from each other, but we don't have to be fucking enemies just because we have a different view. But I mean, sure, and if words don't speak, then violence is the next solution, usually. Especially for a lot of airheads out there that just don't actually have a life, and they got into things like activism and whatever because they were depressed and miserable because they have no purpose, and then they latch on to these things because that's all they've got. And I've seen that a lot in the animal rights community. There's a lot of, like, veganism, for example. It's actually beautiful, but there are a lot of fuckwits in the vegan community that's not what veganism is, right? So you can still be one. You don't have to associate with the fuckwits. You don't have to be preachy. You don't have to walk into shopping centres covered in fake blood and try and make a scene. There's time and place for things. Sometimes the message is effective and it works, but just doing the same thing over and over again when people are desensitized to it doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, rambled too much. I don't know if this is even gonna post, but be kind to each other. Nobody's perfect. You're not better than me, I'm not better than you, except sometimes. And all you can do is all you can do, and yeah, again, like, God bless, what happened today is very sad. And literally only less than like 2 or 3 hours ago that at least 10 people have lost their lives according to 7 news. But at least 10 people have been shot and at least 3 people have died. I think it's probably 10. I don't like 7 news, but yeah. Um, be interesting to see who the shooters actually are though. And yeah, this isn't the end, guys. Hey, I hope I'm wrong, but this isn't the end of it. It's going to get worse. Australia's turning into the UK, and yeah, it's terrifying actually. Housing crisis, a lot of people struggling to find homes, and then we're bringing in more people, and we got to find them accommodation as well, and then find them food and housing. I wonder why everything's getting more expensive. Oh man,